Recording. Hey folks, my name is Jessica Mashkovich and this is One Take with Jess. My guest today is Connie Embley, Miss Connie Embley, principal of Allentown High School. Connie, thank you for joining me here today.
Oh, it's always a pleasure.
This is Allentown, New Jersey, not Allentown, Pennsylvania, folks. Allentown, New Jersey. So, yeah, Connie, you're in charge of a lot when it comes to school reopenings and getting kids back in classrooms, in school, remote learning. You're the head cheese when it comes to that.
Yeah, well, lucky, I'm very lucky that I have a lot of help, certainly with our superintendent and, with my building administrators and our whole administrative team in the district to really, help to pull all of this together in this ever-changing world we're in. That's the thing is we have a plan and then things change and they can change on a dime. So, we have to be prepared to make those changes. Our most important thing though is the education of these students. So, I feel like we have, it is not the same by any means, but we have done, a good job in, continuing the education. So that is, our ultimate goal.
Yes. You and I, we did a podcast way early on at the end of the summer about the entire plan for reopening, what's going to be with the kids, even from the very start. And you guys have done a great job. I have a kid in high school, in your school. She has thrived, thank goodness. And I think a lot of kids in our community are thriving. We were beneficial in that we were ready to go. Our infrastructure was already there.
Right.
You had mentioned a while back because of snowstorms and because of any other type of closure that we would have potentially had, we actually had the ability to go remote. Our laptops were 1-to-1. Every kid in school had a laptop always for years now. So we were fortunate to be able to hit the ground running when it came to that.
Absolutely. We know schools in the area that were literally giving out laptops, last like November and December. And we had left in March, on March 16th, they all left with their laptops. They had them and they knew how to work them. So that was a huge advantage that we had.
Yeah, definitely. And you started with a hybrid situation. So some kids were in and some kids were out half the
Right.
week back in September. And there was a threshold for COVID cases where if there were 2 cases that were unrelated to each other or related to each other, I forgot what it was.
It was unrelated. If there were 2 unrelated cases, so you could have 3 or 4 people that, were testing positive for the virus, but if it was all related to the same, contact or the same interaction, that was considered by the health department to be one case that we were working on. But if there were 2 completely unrelated situations where the students or the staff members, whomever it was, had no contact with each other, we would check carefully. Were they on the same bus? Do they do the same activities? Live in the same neighborhood? Everything. We would really check everything. And if there's completely unrelated, then that's when it would count as 2. And at that time, the health department was saying that we should then close.
Okay. So now you have you're experienced at this already. You guys have been doing this for how many months? Let's see, September, October, November, December, January, almost 6 months.
Well, we've actually been doing, we've
been doing it all summer long in preparation.
Yeah. Yes. In March, it'll be 1 year since we left and, put it all back together.
That's true.
So, it's been a long year.
Yeah. You know what? I wasn't even counting the fact that the big exodus back in March.
Right.
Yeah. So how have the teachers been responding to, since March? Actually, that's a great point. Since March, when everything first happened, teachers didn't fully grasp the remote teaching and they had all summer to learn best practices. And then September started and you've had the entire first half of the year. Have teachers been getting better with this or enjoying it more or, engaging with students on a different level?
I think that when the teachers left in March, they were really phenomenal at picking this up and running with it. I was so impressed with everything that they were able to do from March through June. And then when we returned and reopened in the summer, and they then had to learn now a different way, because, of course we have a very experienced staff, experienced in teaching the normal way, with the whole class sitting in front of them. They so quickly adapted to the students then all being remote and teaching to them online. When we returned in September and the option was given for some students to return and some to stay remote, I think it became harder for the teachers, because they have now students in front of them, and then they have students online, and every day those students change, because of the hybrid. So on Mondays and Tuesdays, you had these students in front of you. On Wednesdays and Thursdays, you had these other students, and some students you never saw at all. So we have teachers that have never met their students because they've been only virtual this whole time.
Yeah, it's a new school year for sure. Yeah.
I think that they have had really a much harder time with that adjustment. They're, used to being, they're kid-friendly people, they're used to being with the kids and interacting. And I think that it's been hard for them to get to know their students the same way they normally did, and know their strengths and weaknesses, know where to help them when they never met them. And, it's all virtual.
Yeah, that's got to be challenging for sure.
Yeah, it's so challenging. I've also seen that, the difficulty in when you have students in front of you on a screen, and then students in the class, who are you looking at? And I see the teachers really tend to look more at the students on the screen because they're afraid to get up and not have them see the teacher, because the students that are sitting in the class, of course, can see the teacher. So I think it has really changed and been difficult. But again, they rise to the occasion. They're amazing. I really do feel that I have the best staff in the world. I'm sure other principals say that, but I really do feel that. I feel that they have been just remarkable professionals, and they've always made the decision for what's best for the students.
How have the parents been helping, or have the teachers called out to the parents and maybe said, listen, I need you to help out in X, Y, and Z? Or have you guys, because I'm a parent and I almost, unless you're calling to participate for a town hall or, an update on what you guys have been doing, we haven't really been asked to do anything in particular as parents. You guys have been working it all out between you and the students. Is there something that parents can be doing that you would love to solicit parental help for or with?
Well, I think that speaks highly of your children that you haven't been called, because we are calling parents all the time if students are not showing up, are not on camera, are not turning in their work. I have never had this many parent conferences in over 21 years at this high school. Never. We are really reaching out to the parents whose kids are struggling. Yeah. And, we do need their help, because if they're an all virtual student and we don't see them, it's very difficult for us to, we're not there. We can't make them get up, make them sit in front of the camera, turn the camera on, be prepared, turn the work in on time, and go, accept all the extra help we're offering. So we have been reaching out. So if you haven't heard from us, it's because, everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing in your house. So
yeah, that's a good thing. But for the people that you have had to reach out to, are the parents receptive to the call? Are you giving them tactical?
I think, yeah.
Are you giving them tactical advice on, here's what I would love you to do as a parent? Look in on the kid. Here's the kid's schedule. We're sharing, the kid's information with you. Here's the kid's schedule. Please look in and make sure that they're dressed and
right. Of course, the parents are always receptive. We have wonderful parents in this community, and they are happy to hear from us and, want to work with us. I think some of the problems.
I know that you say that, Connie, but that's not always true.
Well, I think, I do.
I know people from other school districts, not this school district, who have received that parental, phone call from the school, and the parents end up deflecting and be like, well, I guess you're not doing your job as a school teacher if my kid isn't feeling engaged. And, so I know that all of the parents that you work with are amazing and very receptive, but I do
see that parents have a problem, as all parents are right now, And I've always been a working mother, so I understand. And I luckily did not have to try to teach them at home and do my job. So, parents are working, and high school parents are often working now, especially outside of the home. They're not there. So they do appreciate our calls, and they're like, and often, honestly, when we call and say like they're not online or they're not on camera, a minute later they appear because the parent calls and helps us, the parent calls and says like, get on there. So, but there are situations where parents can't sit with the kids that are struggling to do the work or to help them because they're not there, or they're in another room doing their job. And I completely understand that. And that's why we do offer so much help after school. We have math lab, and we have homework lab and writing clinic, and even an art lab. So if kids need to help with finishing their art projects and, or just as an outlet, we're running the 3 groups for one for like stress and anxiety, which we all are feeling, one for study skills, one for our juniors and seniors for the college process. So, we do encourage parents like to get their kids involved in that, especially the virtual kids, like make them go to these things to have connections and to get the help they need. So I think that's our biggest struggle is, kids are not doing as well as they normally would, of course. And we do have ways of helping, but they have to meet us halfway. The kids have to, be willing to attend these things. And then everyone can have a tutor, and every teacher is available in the afternoon from 11:45 until 2:15 for extra help. So,
yeah. And are there things, you just mentioned a whole bunch of supportive programs. Can you mention them again? You said there's the math lab, there's
so on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have math lab after school run by the math teachers. We have writing clinic, which is staffed by our English department, which is a phenomenal resource. We have it all day too, during the school day and then after school, on twice a week. We have the library open twice a week after school if students need to get help with research. The librarian will even remotely help them to get materials. We have an art lab that's open once a week. And we have our, on Mondays after school is our, reducing stress and anxiety group, which I should go to myself.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that.
So that's run by 3 of our guidance staff. One is our school social worker, one is a student assistance counselor, and then one of the guidance counselors. And they really work with the students on ways to, help them to reduce some of the stress and anxiety that they're feeling.
Is that a one-on-one or is it a group session?
It's group, but students can then, go out with one of the counselors in a breakout room 1-to-1 also.
Okay.
So we have that. And then on Wednesdays, we have study skills and time management. I think it's hard for teenagers to manage their time when they're home most of the time.
Yes. That's actually correct for adults as well.
Yes.
And time management, I almost think that time management, especially for 11th and 12th graders, that almost might be a good class to add to the curriculum.
Yeah.
I know we took home economics out of the curriculum, so now no one will know how to cook or sew or do any household type chores anymore.
Well, we do have our foods and nutrition program, which is one of the most popular classes in the building. So they can learn to cook, but there's none of those other home skills that I took when I was in school, are available.
No one is going to know how to sew a button at all, ever.
No.
But time management definitely seems like it could be, because it helps like organize your life, organize your studies, do whatever with your time, even if the kids that are all remote, are encouraged to set up like an exercise regimen, or, feel like you're being a part of the household and being productive, your job to feed the dogs or your job to empty the dishwasher on alternate Tuesdays.
Yeah, exactly. And then our third one is our college, like preparing for colleges, and our juniors, because they're starting to look at the process, and our seniors that, may have needed, especially if the students were all virtual, may have not gotten in with their counselor to finalize, all of the things needed and the decision. So we offer that on Thursdays after school. All of those programs, though, are offered in person. If you're in the building, you can stay after school and do them, or you can log in online. So we want kids to have the flexibility, and we really want to get them back into the building and back into some routines, and participating in things as much as possible.
Is there an advocacy group that might be talking to the remote only kids that might want to meet with the parents on a regular basis just to reassure them of the safety, in school?
Well,
Like the reasons why the kid might be remote. Is it a logistics thing? Is it because that they come home half day?
yeah. We are going to start to work on that. I heard that loud and clear from the town hall the other night about the concerns for our virtual only students. And now that, students are going to start to come back into the building more, 4 days and then the 5 days. I do want to hear what our parents and our virtual students have to say about how we can help them through this, continued difficult time. So we will be, reaching out to do that.
Okay. How many, since the start of the semester, how many students have started September completely remote? How many started hybrid? And then how many trickled back down to, completely remote? I know that, some people have just preferred remote as opposed to even going in for hybrid at this point.
Mm-hmm. I don't really have that number of all of the different times, but I can just give you a percentage is that we have stayed pretty much consistently at about 48% of the population is out and 52% is in.
Okay.
And that's staying consistent pretty much, even going into the next phase. So the kids change, but the numbers haven't really changed.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So
I'm hoping now though that number of students in the building is going to increase, especially as it gets warmer. Maybe in the fourth marking period, we're going to get, start to really get kids back even more.
yes, absolutely. I think you will. And that is a good introduction to my next question. Is there anything planned for when the weather gets better? I know, outside, I look outside and I see nothing but snow. So it's not like we can host outdoor classes just yet. Unless there's a cool, fun project where you're doing artwork in snow with a variety of different juices to color the snow. But is there anything on the horizon that might be more engaging to get people out and fresh air learning, for springtime?
I think, as soon as we go into mid-April after spring break, we have those opportunities then. Just like we did when we returned in the fall. We had a lot of opportunities. When we opened in September, we were very successful through November 20th. We did not have to close at all. Then unfortunately, we did have the outbreak and we had to end up closing for that time period, and then sort of had that rocky period between then and when we opened up 2 weeks ago.
Right.
But and of course, now the weather's against us, so I mean, we can't catch a break here. But I think that as soon as the weather gets nicer, like in the fall, we had a lot of teachers going outside and teaching outside and, doing some different types of activities. So that will continue again once it gets, nice. And of course, our phys ed classes will all be outside, and that helps because those classes are larger. We want to get the activities too. We want students to be able to, participate in activities too as it gets nicer because we can move those activities outside.
Yeah. Tell me what the sports has looked like since September had started, the September sport or fall sports, winter sports, and then leading up to
sports were a big success. We really had a great season. We were able to make it through the seasons.
What did that look like? That was field hockey. It was,
yes, so it was field hockey, boys and girls soccer, football, and cross country.
And they all did it. They met for practices
They followed the protocol. There was a very strict protocol. Every student had to fill out a form about their health, that their parents really had to fill it out. Temperatures were checked, and they had to be masked unless they were involved in extracurricular activity. I mean, in extra, physical activity. So if, for football practice, for example, if they were on the sidelines, they had to be masked. If they went onto the field, they could take it off as soon as they came off. we were actually able to buy devices that made sure that the water containers were you didn't have to touch them. You would just come up with your container and you just put it near it. You didn't touch anything and it would fill it up. So we were able to meet the needs that we had for our athletes. And we had a successful season. We dodged a few bullets. We thought, here we go. But we actually made it. Winter.
Were there any COVID cases that came out of fall or winter sports?
For fall, there were a couple of kids that got sick, but they luckily had. That's what I mean when I say we dodged a bullet. Like they may have been, they were not when they ended up with symptoms. They had not been at practice, or they had felt symptoms on a Sunday, and so we really were able to not have to shut down.
Okay, but it wasn't as a result of playing on the team. It was a result of a previous gathering somewhere.
There was no contact from each other on the team. No. Now, winter, that's been a little bit different. The rules, of course, are much stricter. And we've had some problems with ice hockey. We've had to close ice hockey down one time completely.
Okay, was because of transmission from player to player, or too much close
none of our
quarters?
players. There was a player that got tested positive. We have a co-op with Robbinsville, so we play on their team, and one of the Robbinsville players tested positive, so everything got shut down. Luckily, none of our kids, nobody got it, so that was a really good sign. But it got shut down for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we've had.
I guess my asking these questions are really just to see, like, how safe is it to play sports? And it seems, environmentally, it seems rather safe to be playing sports. Sometimes
it really has. I mean, we're always keeping our fingers crossed, but I feel like we've even like basketball has started and we've been okay so far. And and then we're going to next week. We will get the regulations released to us for spring sports, and we'll see what they require. But it is so important because they all of our spring athletes lost their season last year.
Right.
So they never got to play. So we're really hopeful that we can have as close to a normal season as possible for them.
Yeah, I hope so too. And that was, definitely horribly missed by the players and the parents. Absolutely. And, you define yourself around your kid and the sports they play, and you see the same parents on the field.
Right.
Are all the sports still open to spectators? Are there spectator limitations?
No, they're not at all. Like during the fall, no students are allowed to attend. Only 2 adult, like parents, like 2 adults in your family.
Per kid. So okay. But your parents can still come and watch their kid play.
Could, but not for basketball.
The whole flock.
No, the flock could not come. The basketball games, not parents can't go either. No one.
Okay. Because why? It's too close indoors.
It's too close of a contact. And and sitting in a gym, see, that's the minute you bring it inside, the regulations change. So there's no one allowed. We are live streaming though our basketball games. So parents are getting to see them from home, but they can't be at the games, which is sad.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially if you have a senior, I feel really badly for them. So we don't know what they're going to say about spring sports, whether they're going to allow spectators or not. We do not know yet. We're going to find out next week.
Okay. If I go to the website, is all of this fun stuff like on the homepage? If you were to say that you're live streaming the basketball games, I actually didn't even know that. It's all on the website, front and center?
Yes. You have to join, and there is a fee to get the live stream, but it's all the directions are on there.
Okay. So tell me what the days, we went from half days to still half days?
Yes.
We're still maintaining a half day schedule, and why? I know lunch has something to do with it.
Yeah. Basically because of lunch is the biggest reason. We are concerned with the students all taking their masks off. At the high school, we have 100% compliance with masks. I've not had to speak to one student this entire year so far about their masks. They all wear them. They wear them all day. We don't allow eating at all during the half day time. And, teenagers can go that morning time without having to eat. So if we start to have lunches, we have over 1,000 students, almost 1,200 students at the high school. So, we break it into, there are 4 lunches. but you're now talking about almost 400 kids per lunch.
And is that even with the attendance that you're assuming 100% capacity
Well, I'm just, yeah, we're just going on
in
that.
general? Yep.
So,
Yeah.
it would of course be less, right? But I'm just explaining how lunch works. So that is our concern, but it doesn't mean we're not going to go to that. It's
Mhm.
just it hasn't been safe yet to go to that. So we are hopeful that we get there and get there sooner rather than later. But this will be the first step in seeing, now that we have, everyone that wanted to come back in the building 4 days a week. And then in March, we're going to the 5 days a week. And let's see, as long as we don't have any kind of outbreaks, we're going to do that till the end of the third marking period, which is April 12th. And then we'll go to the next step. We have to do it in a methodical way, because if not, if we throw everything in at one time and we have to end up shutting down, what caused it? We don't know. So now we don't want to, like throw out the whole plan, because when we have no idea what caused that outbreak. So if we know we safely can bring everyone back, and for the 4 or 5 days, half days, until April 12th, the end of the third marking period, we've had no problems. And I don't mean that we haven't had a case or two. I mean, that can happen, but we've had no major problems. Then we know, okay, it's safe to do this. Let's go to the next thing.
Yeah.
If the next thing causes us to have the outbreak, we know it was that thing,
Right.
which would be lunch. It would be lunch. But, we do have protective shields for every student, which they will be getting next week, because there'll be more students in classes.
Okay. Protect, like the ones that you wear this?
No, it's a 3-sided stand up, like a shield,
Okay.
like a desk shield, I should say.
Okay.
It's not on the person. It's not on a student. But while they sit at their desk, it will fit on, on their desk, and then they will sort of sit inside of it. And then, that's theirs. It's theirs. No one else may use that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Oh boy, oh boy. Could
I
you
know.
even imagine that this is a
No.
reality that we're living in?
Never
I
in a
mean,
million years. No.
Yeah. Throughout your whole teaching career up
Yeah.
into the very end, you're like, what?
Yeah, right. Now we're handing out shields too.
Oh
I
my
know.
gosh. Yeah, soon they'll be made out of Kevlar because of the,
Yeah.
I don't know what society we're living in.
Yeah.
I know that the gun permits have actually gone up significantly
Yes,
in New
I've heard
Jersey.
that too. Yep,
Yeah.
that's scary.
Apparently you can't get hold of any bullets. They're in short supply, but I'm fine with that. Like,
Yeah. True.
oh my gosh. So as far as, let's talk a little bit about seniors and people that are, graduating out of the pandemic into a new college
Yes.
scenario of pandemic. But we did have, my daughter is one of them. She's in 11th grade, but so she has a little bit longer
Yeah.
there for you, but she's still in the college planning stage. Are you guys thinking about alternative learning solutions for higher education in presenting those ideas to the 11th graders and 12th graders? So here's what I'm saying. I don't know how long this is going to continue. I don't know if it's going to continue into fall of next year and then maybe even thereafter. I know remote schooling has been something that people have had to do for college. Even if you
Right.
get into a great school, fancy school, paying top dollar, you still might be learning on the computer for a little while. And I
Right.
hope that we're almost at the tail end of this. But in kids making the decisions, it doesn't sound like the standard suite of college options might be appropriate for everyone because of the high cost and because of the alternative education format. Some colleges have been doing it well in the remote teaching, and some colleges have been not doing well. So, like Phoenix Online used to be one of the first colleges that was offering an education online only. Now, tons of places are offering online certifications and online higher education that are beyond the scope of just the traditional four-year university or community college. Have you been meeting with the guidance department to kind of like provide alternative solutions to seniors and juniors that are thinking about their college career?
I mean, our guidance department does have all of those options. They're very knowledgeable about those options, and do present when they meet they do junior meetings right now. They're in the process of doing their junior meetings. I don't know if you've had yours
We
yet, but
did, we did.
okay.
And it was, we love the guidance counselor. She's absolutely amazing. The options were very much the standard 4-year options, similar to what my son had, been
Yeah.
recommended a few years prior. I'm just wondering if, the higher education options have changed. And
I think that in our community, there is still, the students are still wanting to apply to those 4-year colleges. Like that's, we're not seeing a decrease in students applying at all. Our current seniors. I
mhm,
mean, they've applied to many, many schools. And that we see that the colleges are actually changing. So a lot of the colleges are moving away from the SAT requirement
mm,
because kids have had trouble taking the SAT. So, finding a location to take the test. So we're seeing that the colleges are moving away and changing their requirements, not so much that we are. For the population that we have, they really are. I get updated list weekly from the guidance department on where everyone's been accepted and, if they've made their final choice. And our kids are getting into some big schools, they really are. Now, whether they end up going or they, make another decision, but they are getting accepted. So we believe that, we can meet the needs of whatever the student chooses. We have a lot of students that choose to go, a more of a vocational post high school route with training, and our counselors are very familiar with all of those programs, that are out there. So whatever the student needs, then the counselors will, make those recommendations. But we really haven't seen yet, and maybe by next year we will. But for this year's senior class, we have not seen a move away at all from the traditional colleges that they normally apply to.
yeah, that's good. Do you know if a lot of kids last year, senior year, had deferred starting college?
No,
Right.
most of them went. Most of them went. I mean, a lot of them went and came home, or got or didn't or did went online, started
Yeah,
online, and are now just going.
right.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
they're still in the college. They just chose
Yes.
to do it
Yeah.
from home. And
Yeah.
that's because of the regulations that are set forth in the freshman dorms. And
Right.
I know a lot of stories where, kids felt that they just were in a foreign place and they were kind of
Yeah.
like locked in their room and it was not a great
I know. I
experience.
mean,
They'd rather do it from home.
my niece is a senior at Penn State, and she um went, and then they all got sent home. And now she's been home and doing all online classes, and they're now going back on February 15th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
my son, Penn State, he's upstairs
yeah,
doing his
right.
stuff. Now, you know what? Best scenario. He was at school, in the
Yes,
fall, and he had his
right.
own apartment off campus doing Penn State remotely. And, now he's trying it here at home. He's working part-time. He's being
Yeah.
super productive in the house. It's, his hometown
Yeah.
friends. So yeah, I mean, whatever works, whatever works.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think everybody has to, whatever parents need though, or the students need, like we can get them that information,
Hmm.
and that's why these junior parent conferences to plan for senior year and start the college process are so important, because then that's the counselor then finds out what are they really interested in, and then can be prepared for them, in the fall and over the summer to meet that need.
Yeah. Is there any sort of a virtual PTA?
Well,
Like
I would love
a
to have a
parent?
PTA at all, virtual or not. I can't,
I
you know,
know, I know you guys hosted a town hall, which I, participated in, but I don't know if it was well attended or not well attended because
about 40 people.
yeah. And some good ideas came from there, but
Yeah,
as you mentioned, there's like 1,000 kids in the school system, and
right.
I would hope for
We don't, the high school for some reason just does not have that. They've never had it. I have to always, I know my parents I can really rely on, and even like for Teacher Appreciation Week,
mhm.
when the other schools are having these big things, big luncheons given, the high school doesn't, and it's very unfortunate. And then but I do, always reach out to the parents I know that will, help me out, and then they'll put it together, and they'll get donations, and they'll get, parents to to donate money, and they'll get, places in town to donate, and they put something together for our teachers. But, it's, I don't know why our parents aren't, high school parents, like, they're busy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I would love to have some kind of PTA. So put that out there. I would love it, love it, love it.
Okay. We'll put it out there on the podcast, looking for an
Yeah.
Allentown PTA
Yeah.
someone to head up the Allentown PTA.
Yeah.
But that would be a great resource because you have, all of the
I
needs
know.
of the
It would be
parents.
so great. Like,
Yeah, not only to raise money and give teachers cakes and stuff, but to, to have a resource of
well,
information
it's to
and people.
supplement our programs, and to, bring in programs, and to, so they do a lot of good work at the elementary and middle school. And it's not just about doing something for the teachers, it's doing stuff for the kids too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just used that one example for the teachers, but there's so much out there, but it's either money that we need, or
Or just communication and support.
Yeah.
We talk
Yeah,
about
exactly.
the parents supporting the student, which helps the teacher and the
Right.
school system, with their whole process. And I guess the
Exactly.
more parents can engage, the better. How has everything been with the teachers and the union? My girlfriend is actually a teacher in a whole different school district. She had suffered from cancer, so she's a little bit, susceptible or weary about certain things like lunch. And kids being unmasked. How have you found that the teachers union is, are they being too strict with what they're going to allow their teachers to do, or are teachers, themselves willing to put themselves out there?
So we have a great relationship with our, teachers association, and work very closely with them. They have been really so professional and so student focused the entire time. They have not made any restrictions against what their teachers can do. They are really relying on the administration to make the decisions if we're opened or we're closed, or how much we're open. They are not dictating at all any of the plans that we're making. They are supportive. And we, unlike other schools, which I've heard, in September, even though they were nervous, everyone showed up, and everyone continues to show up every day. I've seen things out on some, like, people send me things that are out on some Facebook pages and things, like, about the teachers, like, coming back to work. The teachers have been working every day since September. They show up.
Yeah.
We have one teacher teaching from home because of, some extraordinary medical situations. One teacher out of our entire high school faculty. So they all came, and the teachers union is, a pleasure to work with. And they're very supportive of the school, the students, and the administration, and we are supportive of them.
That's great. That is great, because like what
Yeah.
you just said, there are teachers, people send you stuff where teachers are refusing to come back.
Yeah.
They don't think it's, safe. They don't want to get and risk their lives,
Right.
Catching COVID from possibly a kid who might be a carrier. And, the way that COVID behaves in a kid's body, in a teenager's
Yeah.
body, is very different than it is
Right.
in
No,
an
absolutely.
old person's body like
Yeah.
you and
Yeah.
me. Old enough to know that I can't call you old. There was another question I wanted to ask you. It's about we did the teachers union. Oh yeah, the building itself. In the beginning, we talked about, the air quality and filtration and opening windows, making sure classes had windows. Are there any new things that need improvement in the school, or slated for improvement based on the pandemic happening, and
Well, I think
things
I
that were
remember
brought
we
to
talked
light?
about how we had, like, a professional HVAC company come and do an evaluation, and we, did meet all the standards, and we were okay with that. They did anything that was found over the summer, to be not working properly, was fixed. So, the windows, the teachers we asked them to please open their windows, keep their classroom doors open. And, we do have exhaust fans that pull the air out. But, now that it is very cold, we do have concerns that we're not freezing our students out of the room. So
Oh,
we've
might
asked,
I recommend an entire fleet of throbies
oh
for the
yeah,
Allentown High School? They do come in red, and we do certainly have enough to accommodate all the students.
that's what they
So,
need in the classrooms right now.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
I'll be working with you to put out like some
yeah,
kind of joint email with a discount code for all people who don't want to freeze their
yeah.
butt off in school.
So, we're not allowing the use of lockers. So, because we feel that the lockers are very close together and the kids would be congregating at their lockers. So, we don't allow them to use lockers yet. We'll see whether, we get to that this year or not. So, they do have their coats in the classroom, which is helpful when it is so chilly. But we have asked the teachers not to open the windows more than 2 inches in the winter now because it is very cold. So, some of the windows were wide open, I'll admit, and I even said it's freezing in here. That's so uncomfortable. So, we're asking everybody to stick to the 2 inches, and other than that, and the doors open, and we're doing okay.
Okay. Are we doing anything for wellness? I know people turn to meditation and yoga and
Yeah.
those types of things. I know that, everyone's got to take gym class. And even if you don't take gym class, sometimes maybe a teacher will want to start her class with in-person and virtual students by doing 20 push-ups just to get the blood going and
Mhm.
relieve stress.
I mean, we do have teachers doing a lot of mindfulness types more activities, like in class. We do have a mental health committee that is great at the high school, and they are really active in finding ways to help everyone improve their mental health, staff and
Connie, hang
students.
on one sec. I'm sorry. My cat is meowing
Okay.
crazy.
I hear.
Oh, gosh. My cat is part demon. Okay. Carry on. So you do have the mindfulness and the wellness,
Yeah,
things.
we have a mental health committee, and I just had a parent reach out to me today and say, hey, do you have time next week? I want to give you some thoughts about some mental health resources. So I love that. That's what I need. I'm literally drowning in 100 emails an hour, I think. So, any help that people want to give me, like, please bring it on. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, if I can suggest maybe doing like a Tuesday night podcast or, some kind of video with people that are there to walk through, 10 minutes of calisthenics or, just anything to even in the morning, in the morning when kids start school, like I just mentioned before, the teacher starting with like everyone do 20 push-ups before we even start, history class. These are things to incorporate it in because I fear that if things are solo put out there as here's a program that you can optionally participate in, it's not going to get the participation that one hopes would, because it's just another thing to add to the list. But if you can mesh things in to regular classes,
So true, right?
20 jumping jacks in Spanish, count in Spanish actually. To 20.
Exactly.
So it really is better for mental health.
Yeah, anything we can do to improve, everyone's mental health, the kids, the teachers, and the principal too.
Should I make you do 20 jumping jacks? In Spanish, of course.
Yes, right. Oh boy, I haven't used that in years.
Oh, that's cute. So I know that you're in charge of the high school, and then there's someone else in charge of the middle school and someone else in charge of the elementary school. So how are they doing with their younger kids?
The elementary school has so many kids back. They're at, I think, like something like 90% of their population, and they've been back and they've been doing great.
So why is that? Are parents just, they don't want to deal with their younger children, so they're much quicker to send them back to school, or they realize the value that in-person learning has to provide to the younger kids?
I'm sure it's a combination of a lot of things, but you can't leave the second grader home alone. Like, if you have to go to work and you have school as an option, where the high school kids can stay home alone. They shouldn't be, but they can. So I think that maybe that's part of it. The younger population was not getting the virus at the rate that, even the teenagers weren't even getting it at the rate of, of course, of adults or older people especially. But, I guess they felt more comfortable. I don't know. The middle school now is going, a lot of students are coming back to the middle school now with this new plan on February 18th. So that's a good thing. And both Kelly Huggins, the principal at the elementary school, and Steph Felino, the principal at the middle school, are, they're a great, they're doing great. And we're a great resource for each other, because, you often feel like, am I the only one that's dealing with this? And, so we have a close relationship, and we are, it's a good team to, be able to bounce things off each other.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It sounds like you have a lot of support. It sounds like the teachers are being great. It sounds like your goal is to get 100% of those students back in.
Yeah.
And never to serve lunch again.
No, we'll serve it. We will.
You have to, kids can't miss out on pizza day. It's just a rite of passage.
I know. And, there's even been some people have suggested, well, why can't they go home and eat and then do class after? And, that plan, and it's not like we haven't thought of that idea, but that plan works if you have a very, small traveling distance. Like if you're, when I think of, towns like Princeton or Hopewell, those kids are coming from a much smaller distance. So, they go home, and it might take them 10 minutes to get home, and then they have lunch. But it could take on a bus, our kids, 40, 50 minutes to get to Millstone. And then they need 25 minutes for lunch. Well, now we're talking about an hour and a half of time that would be now, we're going to start an afternoon class with very little time left. So that model is a good model for some districts. For us, it just wasn't feasible with people traveling the distances that they had to get home.
Yeah.
From school, that our students living in Millstone especially. So we're hoping though to be able to get them back in full day and lunch, and
how are other school districts doing this? I don't know, Robbinsville, Freehold, any of the other school districts, are they full day yet?
No, none of the public schools in the CVC that that we deal with and everything, none of them are in full day yet or serving lunch.
Are any Northeast schools in full
I'm not
day
really
serving
sure.
lunch?
I know that Notre Dame is, and they have been open a full day all year.
And did they do the testing? I know when I was on the town hall, I mentioned the rapid testing. If we're going to plan on doing that, just for peace of mind, whether it's for parents to send their kids back to school, don't worry, they'll be tested. I know you don't want to give a false sense of security. That might open you guys up for liability. You never know. But airplanes are doing it.
We can't even accept the rapid test. It is recommended that the rapid test is not as accurate. And it's something like if parents or our staff or anybody does have a positive case, we won't accept the rapid test as evidence of either a negative or positive. It has to be the PCR test.
Now, is that something that's, based on science and fact, or is that something that, just people don't want to risk the liability of it?
That is absolutely based on science and the recommendation from the health department and all of our medical personnel that's on our reopening committee.
Okay. Because I know the rapid tests are definitely being, better and better, improved for detection and being used, more often. They're talking about using it for people getting on planes. They're talking about using it for bringing the entertainment sector back online.
Yes. I'm sure they've improved, but when we reopened, they told us, and they still say that we have to get the PCR test still.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure though, with the technology, the rapid test will become as effective in time.
How about vaccinations? Are you, are teachers at the head of the line, or are?
So they were in the B group. So it was all healthcare workers, first responders, which it absolutely should have been. And then it was educators. We had hoped that we were going to be able to get vaccines, the vaccines to come to the high school and then inoculate the staff there, whoever wanted it. We did have certainly, the doctors in the area willing to come in and our school nurse to give it. But we haven't gotten them yet. Some districts they just last Saturday were able to vaccinate all the teachers in Freehold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're hoping that it's coming. Mark is working tirelessly on that to get that to happen.
What's the holdup?
Well, it's the difficulty getting the vaccine.
It's just the
the
sourcing of
backlog of it.
itself.
So we were able to though all go
You
register.
have to say that all of the teachers are smokers. That's what you have to fill out the form saying every one of our staff is smokers.
Yeah. So a lot, we were able to register and a lot of staff have already gotten at least their first vaccine. Like it's getting more and more each week of availability to get the vaccine. So that is something we are looking forward to, and we'll feel safer too when the majority of the staff is vaccinated.
Yes.
Because we have a response. Well, I feel like, of course, my primary responsibility is to make sure that our students are educated and, their mental health is being addressed and, everything. But it's also for the staff. I have a responsibility to make sure that my staff is safe.
Of course. Absolutely.
Right.
That's, yeah. And you can't sacrifice one for the other.
No, absolutely not. So,
Yeah.
that I think once that happens, that will be a huge sigh of relief and we can, even then start to move a little quicker.
Yeah, definitely. How are you going to see at the end of the year if the educating of the students has been done to its best?
Yeah.
I know that there's, like the standardized testing that happens and, students have had such a rough time, some of them since March.
They have had a very tough time. And we know that there's gaps in their education. So we hope this summer to be able to offer some enrichment courses for them to be able to catch them up to start in September, especially in math and in, the language arts areas.
Yeah.
So those, I'm in the process of planning for those right now, actually. We always offer summer programs, but I want to increase our offerings to offer enrichment to help in those areas. We also want to offer some activities that, in the summer for students just to improve their mental health and to feel good, maybe some fun things, to feel comfortable getting back into school. Because I think it's so important. There are kids that are scared. And there are parents that have, no choice because they have an elderly grandparent living with them or, someone in the family has compromised immune system. So they have no choice but to keep the high school kids home, even though they all know and want them back in school. So we're hoping that by the summer, being outside, we can get those kids back in and get them, to feel comfortable. I mean, it'll be over a year that they haven't been in the classroom. So
yeah. I mean, there is going to have to be something where at a certain point we do feel comfortable. I mean, the flu has been there every single year. It's flu season. Not to say that COVID is the flu. It's been so different and so much more devastating. And it's different in all ways. But eventually we're all hoping that it gets to some point where it's just like, oh, this is a flu season type thing. Right. And just to bring people back and to bring them that comfort level, there's almost needing to be some kind of advertising campaign that makes people more comfortable. But I hope that people do take you up on your summer activities and your summer programs.
Yeah, definitely.
Being taught for half a day throughout the school year, may or may not have sufficed when it comes to the end of year standardized testings or, prepping for those things. So
not really, we want them as prepared as possible.
Yeah. And you guys have done a great job. You've done the best you can in the circumstances. The teachers have been, you said, participating 100%. Absolutely. So we're the rarity when we have this conversation, just knowing that, and anyone that might be listening to the podcast, this is the best case scenario. There are teachers that are refusing to go back. There are students that are in devastating, mindsets because of how much they're staying home. And, there are parents that are in a bind for sure, but everyone needs to step up. Parents, I'm sure I hope are engaging with their kids more than ever, looking in the bedroom door is closed, peep in, knock on the door twice and open it up.
Yeah.
Be like, why are you not dressed? Why is your
Right.
camera not on?
I mean, we give this advice all the time, move them downstairs. Don't let them stay in their bedrooms to do a class. If the, unless they're doing well, like I said, you haven't heard from us. They're doing
Yeah.
okay. But
Yeah.
if not, then, move them because it's not working. Like this plan doesn't work. So let's, move them downstairs, move them under some supervision if they can. We do give all those suggestions and,
Yes, but the parents are if they're with a remote student, they have to be the cheerleader. When we get older, I'm in the business world, you're technically in the school world, but you're in the business of school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, we adults, we hire life coaches and business coaches to help us progress to the next step
Mhm.
and stay on course. We as parents have to kind of become our kids' business coach or life coach and check in, twice a
Yeah.
week.
I mean,
And
we need help now more than ever. Definitely.
yeah.
Mm.
So, I hope parents are doing that, to help you guys to help their
Yeah.
own. And, students who are getting dressed for school, who are still in their pajamas or sweatpants, and parents, if they're allowing it, you're doing them a disservice. Even if they're larger than you, if they're 6'1" and talk with a deep voice and they're in 11th, 12th grade, like, nope, I'm sorry, you have to shower and you have to get dressed before
Right.
you go to school. So these are
Right, this is
just
their job.
good practices.
High school is like their job, kids' job. So, it's to take it seriously and, we can't come late to our jobs and we can't, lay down when we're supposed to be working. And so, it's the same thing. We preach that all the time.
Yes, it's true. But kids don't know because they're
No.
kids and they haven't
No.
experienced this. So,
Yeah,
we need to hold them to a higher standard even if they're at home. So,
That's right. Yeah.
but anyway, thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much.
Keep up the good work. And
I will continue to do so.
any other words you want to say to the community?
Oh, no, just, we are blessed to, I feel I'm blessed to be the principal of this school and to be in this community because, we do overall get a tremendous amount of support from our parents. And we have great kids too. We really do, and I know they're struggling and that breaks my heart. And we are doing what we can to, move back to as normal as we can, as quickly as we can.
Yes.
So, no one wants them back more than me and Mark and, our teachers, really no one. We all want them back. We all want to be back to normal.
Yes.
We really do. And we know that that's what's best for them. It's best for all of us. We want everyone to be back. We want to have full days of school. We want kids to be involved. I want the school to be packed again. I used to work so many nights, I'd get there before 7 a.m. and I'd be getting home at 9 o'clock and I'd be like, oh, this is too much. And now I'm like, I would love to have a school activity to go to, So we're certainly hopeful to get back to there as soon as we can.
Definitely. Well, anything I can do, I'm always.
Thank you, Jess. I know that. And I know you're a great supporter and I appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, Connie.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.